This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. We want to just say thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. And remember, we're free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Because guess what? When you leave us a 5-star review, that means everybody, Pookie them, grandma, everybody that you know, they will find out about us and they will like us and love us as well. We really appreciate y'all on the YouTube side also, because we're running towards 4,000 subscribers, like literally running, like almost in a dead sprint. And we're over 3,500 subscribers right now. But it is a Friday and the strikeout king is here, and the Falcons up here masking IR folks and dropping names that we know we are very familiar with on IR. We'll talk about that and what does that exactly mean. And then last but not least, and for the culture, how about being able to kick it with one of your favorite artists on a vacation? We'll tell you about all that. But first, the Braves get the dub last night against the Colorado Rockies. 16 strikeouts by Spencer Strider, the folk hero himself. He does it again. And also, Michael Harris was on full display by going yard. And I think that when you think about where this team is and this team really needing to get this win so they can win this series and do what they're supposed to do against bad teams, I just think it's just only fitting that the rookies were leading the way with this bad boy.
Oh, yes. It was like the NL Rookie of the Year race was on display last night.
Right, exactly. Like within the team, like two people.
One team, it was on display.
Anything you I could do better.
Right. It was outstanding. And for Spencer Strider, hidden in all of that is 8 innings, no walks.
No walks, T. Like that has been done since like with John Gray, Doc Gooden did it back in 1984. Like that stuff we don't normally see that type of stuff. That's crazy.
And then you see John Smoltz, who did it back in 92 with the 16 strikeouts, that is, and again in 05. But you think about that, that was 17 years ago that a Brave did that.
Not coming.
That is absolutely mind-boggling. And one of the broadcasters said something that I thought was so funny yet true. He said, I really wanted Spencer Strider to get a third pitch in his arsenal, but you know what? He might not ever need a third pitch because the 2 he has are lights out. And it's just everything about it is beautiful. And also with Michael Harris, just to give him a little bit of shout out and a little bit of shine as well with that home run, one of the things that he's doing and one of the things that he's done very subtly is just tweak his stance ever so slightly. So if you think it's been good already getting to homer number 14, imagine as he continues to tweak and really perfect that swing. Oh man. I mean, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of what he can do. And since we gave him ugly the other night, I'll go ahead and give Kenley Jansen kind of good because at least you didn't blow the scoreless outing.
Yeah, it was, and he got, I think, in less than 10 pitches too. So, you can definitely appreciate him for him. Got to give him a little love. But just go back to Michael Harris really quickly. Mm-hmm. This dude's only played 85 games to you. And ever since he was brought up, and then Spencer Strider kind of followed, right? Not too long after that, the Braves have been absolutely killing it. They have been absolutely amazing ever since these rookies came on. That's why I mentioned before when we got started that these rookies have been leading the way for the Braves, and it is absolutely amazing to watch. And we're definitely going to continue to watch them as the Braves get ready to take on the Miami Marlins. We'll give you a quick preview of that series, but before we do that, tell the folks about what's going on at Bet Online.
Yes, betonline.net is your stop for all sports developments and all information about betting. And listen, we have a little bit of a shakeup in the Eastern Conference with Donovan Mitchell coming over to the Cavs, and pretty
Oh,
much the Cavs giving away everybody. Lowry
everybody.
Marketing gone, Colin Sexton gone, unprotected picks gone, but more importantly, Spider is coming over to the Eastern Conference. So how does that change the odds of who's going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, the NBA Finals next year? You want to know? This is where you go to find out that information. But it doesn't stop with just NBA, MLB, or NFL information. You got niche sports like MMA and golf that they can give you info on as well. And if you're a beginner like me, you can check out their podcast to get all the information you need to understand lines and over-unders and all of those good things that you need to know so that you can bet right. So very simple. Once you finish with ATL day ones and rocking with us, go rock with betonline.net. You can do it from your laptop, desktop, cell phone, any device, any connected device. Again, that's betonline.net because that is where the game starts.
The game starts tonight for the Atlanta Braves. They will be playing against the Miami Marlins. Sandy Alcantara, another Cy Young Award, should be more than likely. He's making a really good case to be the winner.
Yes.
So I think that we're talking about a guy who's be able to put up type of numbers that he's been able to do on such a horrid team. I think you got to deserve some type of credit for that. And obviously Charlie Morton, who looks like he's going to lose his playoff rotation spot to Spencer Strider. He's going to be on the mound tonight as well. So I think that, last time we saw him against the Cardinals, wasn't all that great. So, but we think that, that's something that we're looking forward to them getting back on track. And I think that, with Ronald Acuna, DHing last night, we're going to see how the plan kind of works here and see if he's going to be in the field or maybe he continues to DH as they try to figure out what's going on with his knee.
Yeah, I'd like to see him continue to DH. This is the kind of series where you actually don't need you don't need it. You don't need his prowess, if you will. You can afford to not have him in the outfield, right? And if
Right.
you could just get him at the plate, I mean, hey, look, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And I like the fact that this particular series gives Brian Snicker a little bit more to play with. Also, I want to go back to something that you just said about Charlie Morton.
Mm-hmm.
He is fighting for his rotation life for the
Yeah,
postseason.
it should be. It should be a
Yeah,
fight.
exactly. So he's fighting for his rotation life. So this will be a great opportunity for him as well to be able to do a little something. And finally, talking about those rookies, this might be an opportunity for Brian Snicker to kind of tinker with Vaughn Grissom and kind of see where he can utilize him in different spaces because that versatility that Vaughn brings to the table could be useful as you're approaching the postseason also.
Yeah, because Vaughn Grissom is a guy that, has stepped in for Ozzie Albies at second base, and he's done a stand-up job for
Yeah.
sure. And speaking of Ozzie, he had he was on his first rehab assignment in Gwinnett, and he went 0 for 40. I think that this is something that's going to probably be a process when you talk about for him being out for so long and he was already struggling before he got hurt. I think this is going to be a process, and I don't think the Braves need to rush this at any point. But I do think he needs to get some game experience before the playoffs get started. But
Sure.
I think that, hey, this is probably what you expect, his first time out.
Yeah, indeed. And him going in as the leadoff hitter, but in the DH role, I really like that because to your
Right.
point, that is showing that Brian Snicker is perfectly okay with a slow go return for Ozzie Albies. He already has what he needs in terms of second base support. And like you said, Ozzie was kind of having a challenge at the plate before he went out on injury. So again, I think that this is the best place for him to be. Slow it down. Yeah, it was 0 for 4, but you got to start somewhere. And let's just keep seeing what that progress is going to look like over these next few weeks.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that as the Braves should go ahead and sweep these bad boys over the weekend and keep it moving. We hope. Yes. But I think one of the things that's also going on this weekend, T, is the doggone Georgia Bulldogs will be taking on the Oregon Ducks. And to be honest with you, T, I think Georgia's going to win this game. But I think the conversation or the thing that I started thinking about when when you think about what Georgia's goals should be or where they are coming into this season, I think it's the play of Stetson Bennett, right? Because I know for me, and I'll go ahead and admit, I was a doubter. I doubted him throughout the entire season. And, Stetson Bennett has gone on record as saying that he don't really care about that.
Yeah.
And this is the type of guy that, he's going to do him. And I think that he has enough confidence.
Yeah.
Because last year he came up big in a lot of games. Like Kirby Smart talked about that Tennessee game, being on the road and making that necessary play to get that offense going and get that momentum to go on ahead and beat the brakes off of them like they're supposed to. And of course, in the national championship game, throwing those 2 4-quarter touchdowns, it was absolutely huge. So I think that they got the national championship. What type of how far can Stetson Bennett really raise the level of his game going into this season?
Yeah, and I was looking down in the trenches as well, but I'll start in the trenches with Georgia's O-line. I think that is advantage Georgia, advantage Stetson Bennett, because literally you're bringing back the same group pretty much that you had on the line last year. That was a group that only allowed 16 sacks in 15 games. So that protection for Stetson Bennett will be critical. And, of course, we know that he's got some stallions when it comes to that running back game. We're talking, Kenny McIntosh is a beast. Kendall Milton is a beast. And then we could go on and on from Brock Bowers on with the tight end room as well as the wide receiver room. The one thing I will say, and I don't want to call it an advantage, but let's just say the Ducks will be able to keep him honest. This show has always loved Penei Sewell, and I think this show,
love
I
Penei
think
Sewell,
this show also kind of likes what we see out of his brother Noah, because there's a tandem for the Ducks, Noah Sewell, if you will, and I think it's Justin Slow, and those guys are pretty darn good in the secondary. So if anything, I'm not saying that that's going to be all the way advantage for the Ducks, but being that Dan Lanning knows what to look for with Stetson Bennett, there could be an opportunity for them to at least keep Georgia honest, maybe through the third, maybe early fourth quarter. So I do like that as an interesting and intriguing matchup. And then on the flip side, this will be the test for Georgia's D-line, because they are the polar opposite of the O-line. Nobody on that D-line was starting last year. All those guys are in the NFL now. So this is going to be
5 starters in the first round.
It's going to be intriguing to see what those 3 guys up front are able to do against the Oregon O-line. However, I will also not give them too much credit for that because I said Jalen Carter, and because I said Jalen Carter.
Yeah, Jalen Carter. Y'all listen up, Georgia fans. Jalen Carter was the best defensive lineman you had last year. Sorry. I understand. I get it. I know that hurts. Yeah, Jordan Davis. I get it. That's the dude that's basically like my twin of how I was built when I was in college. But when you talk about just talent level, just pure talent, oh my goodness. And it's going to be on full display this year, T. And I think that's something that, Stetson Bennett he's going to have some help. He's not going to have to do it all by himself. And I think that's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. Like I said, Georgia gets the dub. I don't know if they necessarily cover at 17 and a half points.
Agree with you.
Oh, no, we'll see. We'll see about that one. I think this game is going to go by pretty quick because both teams are going to try to establish the run. And I know for sure Dan Lanning is not trying to put the ball in the hands of Bo Nix. We can just go ahead and get that situated and let everybody know that right now. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that for Labor Day weekend. A lot of good football going on. So we'll have you covered on that on Tuesday because we will not be here on Monday. We're going to take the day off. But make sure you keep us and follow us online and like and subscribe and enjoy all this good content that we're putting out for you. Now, but coming up next, though, the Falcons put some notable names on IR. We'll talk about whether or not there was some validity to all of those. That's next, right here on ATL Day Ones.
Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra. That is Jarvis. And you guys are our tried and true fans. We appreciate your family for continuing to download this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And we also appreciate you guys giving us a 5-star review. And we are moving towards 4,000 subscribers on the Locked On Sports Atlanta network. So appreciate you guys for that. Continue to subscribe. And as always, tell a friend about it. They can come and join the party as well. Now, what was not a party on Thursday, what was going on in Flowery Branch? There were a lot of notable names that were put on IR by the Falcons: Deion Jones, Jalen Mayfield, Ozzie Albies, Marlon Davidson. Which of those players, Jarvis, which name or names stands out or stood out to you most?
I think the first one that jumps out, because we've had so many conversations about his status with this team, has to be Deion Jones, right? Because you talk about, whether or not he's played his last game as a Falcon. I've gone on record to say that, I not, and a lot of people seem to feel some type of way about it, and I get it. Deion Jones was a great linebacker. Let me say that again. Deion Jones was really, really good for the Atlanta Falcons, but he is no longer that guy. He is no longer in a scheme that is going to help him be at least close to what he used to be. And I think that, for those two reasons, that's why he's probably has played his last game as a Falcon. And for him to be put on IR, hey, he's out of sight, out of mind. And I think that's exactly what the Falcons want for him. And the second one that kind of really stood out for me, T, is that Marlon Davidson. I think that, when you think about what all of the injuries that he's dealt with, and, and I had a conversation with him about, being injured and not being able to squat for 2 years. And as a former defensive lineman, I'm just like, dude, how in the world can you be successful? And if you can't work on your leg strength, because that's the big key for a defensive lineman, you got to be strong down low. But, and then for him to say, yeah, man, this first time I'm coming in healthy, and then boom, right back at it again with the injuries. And I just think it's just unfortunate. And I think it's more than likely it's going to end maybe in an injury settlement potentially, or just a body. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't think that, the Falcons more than likely going to have to move on from him and not hold that spot on the roster once he gets healthy.
Yeah, and for me, Marlon Davidson wasn't a surprise because I always thought they were going to put him on IR, and that was going to be his exit strategy, for lack of a better term. I think for me, and Jalen Mayfield, I think we both agreed that we would not be shocked if we saw him here, so that didn't phase us as well. Now, Deion Jones, I was a little bit shocked by, only because I thought the Falcons were going to go in a different direction, because I felt like, okay, they put him on display in the third preseason game. So I just didn't quite expect it to go that way. But Ozzie Albies was the shocker for me.
Yes.
That's the shocker for me. And I really am concerned about that. And don't get me wrong. Great that they have D'Alford. Great that they have Mike Ford. And, they've got weapons that they can put in that slot space and play at that nickel. But Ozzie Albies, just what we saw, just streaks and signs and flashes when Dean Pease put him there last year just before the injury. It's like, oh my God, we think we found a fit for him. And and I understand he's not 100%, and they're maybe being cautious because maybe they do have a few more weapons than say they had even last year to kind of play around with. But that one was a little bit shocking, and I'm so hopeful that it's just going to be a short-term situation, that when he says he's not 100%, that maybe that means he's 85 or 90, and he's getting close to being back to that guy, because I do believe that Dean Pease found something with him, and I think that if he can find that magic again, just if his body can allow for it, he can be something special in that secondary. But speaking of special, we know that we love all of the products that we tell you guys about, but maybe none is more special to us than Coffee AM.
CoffeeAM.com/locked on. CoffeeAM.com/locked on. Yes, it's going to register this time. CoffeeAM.com/locked on. Go there right now, and I'm going to tell you why. Why I should go there, Jarvis? I'm about to tell you. Calm down. I got you. Now, I took a trip to the rainforest this morning, T. For those of you who don't know, that is a very, very special blend that Coffee AM makes. It's called the Rainforest Crunch. Oh my goodness, it takes me there. When you open that bag of coffee up, it's just like, oh my God, I need to get on the plane and go there right now. But I don't have to, because Coffee AM got it right here just for me, and they can get it there for you just as well, because it is the best small batch coffee roaster in the entire country. Right here in your backyard, right there. All you gotta do is hop on the road and just go right there. Or you can just go to the website. You ain't got to get in your car. Coffeeam.com/locked on. Now that I told you why to go, you need to go there. Let me tell you the incentive you're going to get when you get there. It is called a 15% off discount off of all coffees, gift sets, and teas. And all you got to do is drop in the coupon code box locked on, and you're going to get that 15% off. Why don't you just go ahead and pull up on the best small batch coffee roaster in the entire country? And it's right here in your backyard. You ain't got to worry about it. Go ahead and do it right now. Not right now, after the show. Then you go. There we go. That's what I meant by right now. Coffeeam.com/locked on.
Indeed. I absolutely love that because, like you said, Jarvis, this is going to be a cray-cray weekend in Atlanta,
Yes,
and
Lord.
you might need to be more alert than ever in on those streets. Woo! And Coffee AM can do that for you. So check out coffeeam.com. Now, speaking of going forward, because listen, we know that hopefully you'll go forward and go to the coffeeam.com/locked on website. What does all of this mean for the future of the Falcons in terms of those four individuals in particular? Because, of course, we know that there are guys that they added, there are guys on the practice squad, but what about these four? Jones, Mayfield, Davidson, Oliver. What does that mean for the Falcons?
You know what? To be honest with you, I think a lot of guys' futures are on the line, right? You
Sure.
know, because when you think about, and I'll start off with Jalen Mayfield. He played terribly last year. I mean, that's just exactly what it is,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
and we got a little peek into, this year he didn't look all that great as well. And we
Right.
kind of find out, okay, he's dealing with some back injuries, right?
Hmm.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Offensive lineman needs his back. We understand that. And when you're talking about being that young,
Hmm.
you only your second year in the NFL, and you're having back injuries as an offensive
Yeah.
lineman.
Yeah.
I talked about not being able to squat as a defensive lineman. How about
Mhm.
not being able to do pretty much anything as an
Exactly.
offensive lineman because your back is messed up? Like, it's hard to lift weights when your back is messed up, and I think that this is the guy that you may be talking about being out of the league, depending on the seriousness of this back injury. So, and obviously, it has to be serious if they're putting him on IR
Yeah.
so far in. But as far as and it's Deion Jones as well. Like, you
Hmm.
know that he has a big salary. Yeah, what,
Hmm.
9.6 million, I think, and he's going to be a $20 million count $20 million against the cap this year. So whether or not teams are going to be willing to take on that, how much are the
Hmm.
Falcons willing to take on that, if they can do that, I think that's something that you got to keep in mind, because we know for a fact that the Falcons have no need for Deion Jones right now,
Yeah.
at all, like at all. They made it very clear on who they want to keep around that's already been around. That's Grady Jarrett and Jake
Hmm.
Matthews. That's why those guys got those necessary contracts
Yes.
in place.
Hmm.
And so I think that, when you think about, and Marlon Davidson, we spoke on that. I think
Hmm.
those, it's just about what are you gonna be? Are you gonna be able to sustain yourself in the NFL going forward? Like, not only just the Falcons, it's just talking about being able to stick around on a roster and continue to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah. And one more question. I thought this was interesting because shifting from those guys who obviously either played a key part in years past or we were hoping they would play a key part and they didn't. Now you look again to the future to say, okay, there are some players in particular that need to step up. So our guy D Lad, our friend to the show, had an interesting
Yes.
article that he put out with his key players. He chose Taquan Graham, Lorenzo Carter, Cordero Patterson. Taquan, because hey, you're a starter now in your second year, so you got to get it. Low,
Mm-hmm.
you are here because of the backside of your season with the Giants last year. We need sacks. And CP, yes, it'll be running back by committee, but really and truly, that run attack starts and stops with you. So, my question to you, Jarvis, is this: when we think about our key players, you get one on offense, you get one on defense. Tell me who you think will be a key player and really has to turn in a big season in order for the Falcons to be successful or competitive.
You know what? offensively, I got to go with Drake London. You know, number 8 overall pick. You know, you were brought in, you got your first catch, and then boom, you go down. Like, is this what your career is going to look like? Because a lot of people, I know that's very extreme when you think about, a guy coming into his rookie year. But I think that when you take a guy that high, like, you want to see some kickback immediately because you want to understand that this regime understands what first round talent looks like, right? Everybody can agree Kyle Pitts is going to work out. Yeah. Yes. And we got a really good peek into that last year, right? Mm-hmm. I get those touchdowns up, Kyle, but we get it. We see the talent. It's there. And people are on notice. They understand that. But I think that Drake London need to give the fans, us as media who cover this team, like, all right, we understand, from a size standpoint, but we want to see some production. Just give us a little peek. So my thing to Drake, get healthy and go ahead and do your thing and justify that number 8 overall pick. And defensively, it has to be Deion Grant. Yeah, Deion. I'm sorry, Richie Grant. Excuse me.
I knew you meant. Yeah, no, I knew.
I went back in time there with Deion Grant, the Augusta native there. But Richie Grant has to do what he needs to do. Like, second round pick last year. A lot of coverage on him not being able to pick up the defense because Dean Pease is a straight shooter. He'll pretty much tell you what it is. And he played out of position last year, kind of trying to help out and did an okay job there. And now he's stepping into the starting role. I think that in order for that Falcons defense to do what it needs to do this year, which is be a lot better than where they were last year, Richie Grant has to take the ball away. He has to show that, hey, this is why the Falcons drafted me. And it's a theme here, T, because I want to believe in Terry Fontenot. So These guys need to make plays in order for that to happen.
Yeah, and for me on offense, it's Caleb McGarry. We need him to show improve. Yes, he bulked up and he got his body right in the offseason. Yes, he's looked decent in training camp and even in the preseason games. But I want to see what he is truly working with when we get into some real game action, because we know we started the season off saying, hey, 60% of the line was set, right? That was the commentary. When you look
what was
at
up for competition, yeah.
Exactly.
60%,
yeah, not exactly. That's not up for competition. However, and now we feel like we're kind of 80% of the way there, because I think we all agree we still don't know what's going on with that center. But I am very intrigued to see what in the world Caleb McGarry is going to do to shore up that right side. He needs to be at his best. And on the defensive side, I'll stick with where you went, which is the secondary, right? I want to see if Casey Hayward is really going to give the help that AJ Terrell needs so that we can see two things. Number one, like you said, for that secondary to make sure that they keep those quarterbacks honest and that they give whatever quarterback, I don't care if it's Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, or whomever, because of course that's who they're going to see first game out. Show something. Show them that you're going to have to be honest. We're not going to let you get big plays on us. We're not going to let you go into second gear. None of it is happening with this secondary. And then I think, and I'm trusting AJ Terrell, by the way. So I think you really get to see what this guy is made of, because now you can't keep throwing to the other side if Casey Hayward is the truth like we think he is. So those are my two guys that I'll be kind of looking to see if they really have big seasons and can help us. Like you said, you need more sacks, but you also need more takeaways. You need that ball back in the hands of your offense. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about For the Culture and some of the things you didn't know you needed until maybe you went to Turks and Caicos and found out. We'll tell you about that on
final segment of ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. We want to just say thank you for rocking with us throughout the entire show. You guys have been showing a lot of love on YouTube and on wherever you download your podcast. You guys have been giving us those 5-star reviews. You've been liking and subscribing to us, because we're almost at 4,000 subscribers. Seemed like yesterday we would just hit 3,000. My goodness. We appreciate y'all. Tell a friend to tell a friend, tell a friend. We absolutely love that, and we love you all, and we really mean that. Like, we're not playing. Like, we really love y'all. Appreciate you for rocking with us. But T, this is For the Culture. It is an intersection between the sports, entertainment, and the culture. And sometimes, what the hell we want to talk about? Because that's just how we get down on this show. Today is no different. T, do you know who Kiara Moore is, or have you heard of her before? Before today?
No.
No, not really. All right, so Nas didn't either because he got a chance. Kiara Moore, she's an avid traveler. Everybody seems to be traveling nowadays, except for me. But anyway, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later. She took a trip down to Turks and Caicos with her friend, a BFF, celebrating her birthday and everything. They're in there chilling, doing their thing, and sitting down at the restaurant. Next thing you know, they get the, the whole little birthday situation comes. And then she looks over and she sees that Nas is the rapper, probably the guy who murdered not murdered literally, but lyrically, I think Jay-Z, in that rap battle that they had for a little bit of time, and he was over there toasting too. And then next thing you know, he made his way up to the table, and next thing you know, they up there taking shots together. And next thing you know, they exchange "I love yous." T, what is going on? Like what are we missing out on? Being able to have a conversation, probably one of the greatest rappers of all time, on vacation. What's the deal here?
I say that all the time in Atlanta because everybody clearly has a house here with that burglary
Right. Yeah.
situation that
Good
from those
Lord.
games earlier this week, right?
Right.
So, but I never run into celebrities in Atlanta. I never do. So
Really?
no, it just does not
Wow.
happen. But where it did happen was in DC one time. I was there for our Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Centennial celebration. And we're doing a late night dinner not far from the hotel convention center, right? And all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, this guy kind of sits about two chairs down. And you know how you just look and you go, wait a minute. And you try to low key look. And we were both like, my Sora and I, is that Hill Harper? Yeah, that's it. And I guess
Wow.
sometimes they get accustomed
The
to it.
relationship expert.
Yeah, right, right. Finally, Hill Harper was like, "Yeah, it's me." So he comes over, and
That's
literally
cool.
we sit there for hours doing like a taste test with food and wine and talking to him about relationships. And he actually has some good insight. I will give him that. But yeah, that was kind of a fun deal where it's like, hey, we just went out for a quick bite and just to kind of get out of all the fray, and boom, he was right there. And of course, the gentleman that he was took care of everything. So sweet, sweet situation. But if you ask me who I would want it to be, now
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference. That's a different conversation. There's this
Ooh.
guy,
Okay.
Keith Robinson, who has acted in, I think Saints and Sinners is like his most recent show. Go look him up, Keith Robinson. And
Keep
he
Robinson. Okay.
be on Half and Half, and he's a singer, and he was Effie White's brother in Dreamgirls, the movie, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, if he
Mm-hmm.
ever, and he lives in Atlanta, if he ever sits in a restaurant where I am, I don't really care who else is there. Oh yeah, we're gonna have some conversation. We're gonna have some toast. We're gonna have some I love yous. Yes, sir. Thank
You know
you.
what, T? This doesn't really sound like you're a fan of his work. It seems like you're a fan of his work. Like,
Uh-huh. No lies told.
yes, okay. But that's cool though. Yeah, that's actually really cool. I think the one time I never forget, I was at a Hawks game, and just kind of chopping it over with some of the new people from my former station, work at 929. They raised me, so I'll never be afraid to admit that. Just sitting there at the game, and then next thing Dominique Wilkins walks up. Then former NBA head coach Sam Mitchell walks up. And then next thing you know, we having a full-on conversation about nothing about basketball. And when I tell you, you talking about some good laughter, some good laughs. It was just an absolutely amazing conversation. And I was just like, man, this is really, really cool just to be in that type of situation,
Yeah.
where you're just kicking it with guys that they're very accomplished in life
Mhm.
and just acting like normal people. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's one thing that I've come to realize, like, growing up in Atlanta, yeah,
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of people and I've met a lot of famous folks, worked for them and everything, all that good stuff. But it's just really cool to see that they're really down to earth once you do meet them. I think that's the real cool thing about it. And I think as far as somebody that I would love to meet, and
Mhm.
I actually had the opportunity to introduce myself, but I was scared. Yeah, I was scared. I'm 6'5", 300 and some odd pounds. Yeah, I got scared. Andre 3000. Like, I'm the hugest fan of Andre 3 Stacks, right? I was at the bank in a place that you would never know Andre 3 Stacks to be. He was actually banking at this particular bank. It's a small bank. Probably don't even exist anymore. And I walked, and it was in the grocery store.
Uh-huh.
So I was going to the grocery store to pick up some stuff, and then as I walked in, I was like, I saw the afro and everything. I'm like, oh, who is this dude? So, and I kept on went about my business. And then when I came back out, leaving out, because I was going there really quickly, I looked. I was like, oh snap! It was Andre 3 Stacks sitting in this Best Bank in random Stone Mountain, Georgia. You know, in the cut somewhere off of the 78 side of Stone Mountain. I'm sitting up here like, what in the world? Like, so obviously I did not say anything to him. I called my wife, and she was like, Jarvis, what in the world? Why not? I was like, I don't know. I guess, I ain't going to try to seem like a little punk, to my wife, but I was just like, I ain't want to mess with him. You know what I'm saying? You know how that's the excuse all the time. But yeah, it was definitely be really cool to kind of sit down and chop it up with Andre and ask him why he ain't dropped no album yet.
That's your plug.
Yeah. Come on, 3 Stacks, man. Come on, bro.
So, Jarvis, now what I want to do, there's one more person I would like to sit next to, and there's one more person that I would like to meet, and that's the person who will be preparing the macaroni and cheese and the potato salad and baked beans for your cookout.
All right, so got 2 out of the 3. So today, my wife will be preparing the baked beans. You know what I'm saying? I'm pushing her. Hey, gonna drop some meat off in that thing. That people love that type of stuff. Then my her god sister, who makes an excellent potato salad. Yeah, I think y'all met before.
Yes.
She will be on the potato salad duty, and yes, I'm very much so looking forward to that.
I love it. Well, hey, we'll like you said, we'll take 2 out of 3 for the cookout, because you guys don't know, low key, one of Jarvis's super skills is grilling. So can't wait to hang out with fam this weekend. It's going to be really, really cool. And listen, we hope you guys have a good, safe holiday weekend as well. Hopefully the Braves will give us what we want, which is a sweep. And we'll be able to talk a little bit about that when we come back next week. And of course, we're getting closer to opening day in the NFL. So we'll talk more Falcons and anything on the sports scene over the weekend. We'll come back on Tuesday and download, because Jarvis and I, we're going to kick it back on Monday. Hope you guys do the same. Have a safe, super safe weekend in those ATL streets.
Y'all come back now, you hear? I'm going to be looking for you.